So I just finished watching A Quiet Place 2. I guess with John Krasinski, who I happen to think is a good actor. The problem I have is, to me, he's not a great director. And this has become a trend in the last few years that the actors get a little power hungry and they feel in their contract, instead of just acting, they feel, hey, I want now to direct so they can have more control. And the problem is most of them aren't good directors. Usually you have a skill at acting, but then you think you're a director and you're not. There are some who become good directors, like Ron Howard, but for the most part, most aren't. However, I do like this film and I want to recommend it. The problem, I just want you to be aware, is that you have to leave your suspension of disbelief at the door. I learned this when I was very young. My sister loved Star Wars and took me to see it. I think you had at that time you had to be 18 or have supervision, so she took me to see it, and I think I went with a friend, and I remember scoffing, saying, "Come on, I can't believe some of the things that were going on." I was young and immature, and I guess that ruined it for her, thinking I would love this movie. Later, many years later, I did realize the greatness of the film, but at the time I couldn't get over little things like that. And so this movie, you have to realize that it's a great movie. Not a great movie, it's a very good movie, but little things like that are going to bother you. I'll point out one that stood out for me. So the creature, and I'm not ruining anything by saying this, the creature goes by sound, so he can hear even the smallest sound, but yet he can't see. And now, someone with who's directing it or knows about the film will have to explain to me why that is a thing. That's not usually a thing with the animal kingdom. You don't usually survive if you don't have all your senses. Humans are different. We can survive with one or without two senses, but how the animal can hear, great, but then and reacts to it, but yet can't see, that I don't get. And it kind of bothered me when watching this. So that type of thing you have to let go. When you're coming to watch the movie, you have to just let that go and just enjoy it. Having said that, it didn't flow for me in the way that I'd like it to. It's very similar to Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds, where he's, well, in some respects, I found it similar in some respects. It's well worth watching. Just don't, it's not, it reminded me also of 70s drive-in movie. It would have explosions of suspense for 5 or so minutes, and then it would slow down and then build up slowly, like a wave, and then hit again with another incident. So it was up and down like that. So it was very good, very suspenseful, but the acting wasn't great as far as in my opinion. Didn't have many top-level actors other than Emily Blunt, the director's wife. And that's another thing. Now actors are not only wanting to work, but they want to have their family. That's another thing that bothers me. They're not necessarily the right character for the role. I'm not saying that for this particular movie, but others. So I expected to really enjoy this, but the ending, it just took forever to come. So that's another downside. And the ending itself was very poor. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he ran out of ideas. I don't know, but it was, the more I think of it, it's just hitting me now because I just finished watching it. That didn't work for me either. Now, as far as what I was saying is suspension of disbelief, I just want to make a comment. I also watched this morning Love Contractually. I'm into Asian movies at the moment, but for whatever reason, I'm not going to go into it, but their movies are even worse for this. You have to almost, I don't know how to say it. I like the some aspects of this movie. It was made a few years ago. I just saw the trailer and wanted to watch it. One of those Asian crush movies. And the actors there were, well, the one actor, I think her name is Weng Juan Yang. She was just great. The CEO's secretary. So I want to watch movies with her in it. She, I found, was fascinating, a great character. And when the movie was starting, it was great. And the minute they got into a song, I thought, oh, here we go. And I knew the movie would go down from there. That's what always seems to happen with Asian movies, is that they have a great concept, but they don't follow through. The acting isn't as good. One thing they do, they don't have as great ideas for films. They seem to steal all their plots from American movies, who also steal their movies from Indian movies. If you don't know that, I should do a whole video on that. And I just wanted to say that those movies are much harder to take. Asians love them. They just love movies, and they watch the whole thing without fail. Whereas a Westerner will say, come on, I don't believe that, or I don't buy the premise. So you have to take what you can get out of it. So I'll put a link in for where you can find the movies that I referred to, but remember, suspension of disbelief, leave it at the door if you want to fully enjoy movies like that.